One of America's greatest black writers, Richard Wright, was among the first African-American writers to achieve literary fame and fortune, but his reputation has less to do with the color of his skin than with the superb quality of his work. The importance of his works comes not from his techniques and style, but from the impact his ideas and attitudes have had on American life. Wright was seen as a prominent figure in the Black Revolution, stimulating black leaders to confront the world on the future of their race. With his vision of personal freedom for everyone, Richard Wright protested white American treatment of African Americans. Critics agreed that his most significant contribution, however, was accurately portraying blacks to white readers, thereby destroying the inferior black stereotype. Richard Wright's literary accomplishments left an indelible mark on the African American community. His work has influenced many writers on thinking about the African American experience. Consensus among critics is that his contributions were so vast that without him there would be no contemporary African American literature as we recognize it today. So, Mr. Wright, can you tell us a little about your background and where you come from? Well, I was born on September 4th, 1908, on a plantation in Roxy, Mississippi, a tiny town located 22 miles east of Natchez in Franklin County. And I was a grandson of slaves. My family soon moved to Memphis, Tennessee, and it was there in Memphis where my father, Nathaniel, a former sharecropper, he abandoned the family. Wow. And soon my brother, Leon, and my mother, Ella, she was a school teacher. We moved to Jackson, Mississippi to live with relatives. And it was in Jackson where I grew up and attended public high school. And it was here where I formed some of the most lasting early impressions of American racism. And I lived through the worst that Jim Crow has to offer. And we faced a lot of hardships living in a white supremacist society. What can you tell us about these hardships? You see, to be black in Mississippi in the early 1900s was really to be denied many opportunities. You couldn't vote, you couldn't live where you wanted to, you couldn't attend white schools that were much better financed than black ones, you couldn't ride on integrated train cars either. It's awful. And we never seemed to have enough money. Many times I went without food. I was starving half my life. Couldn't afford clothes for my school either. So, was there anything good about growing up in Mississippi at that time? Seems like all you did was struggle to survive. Oh yeah, I've had a lot of positive boyhood experiences that I still remember. It really brought out my intense appreciation for nature. I frequently found myself observing horses, dew, the Mississippi River, wild geese, burning hickory wood, sparrows, and a solitary ant. And to my amusement, I also learned a great deal about folk culture. For instance, if I put a hair from a horse's tail into a jar of urine, it transformed into a snake. Or if I could turn myself into a girl by kissing my elbow. And also, this one was a favorite of mine, that lightning couldn't hit me if I covered a mirror during a storm. That's very interesting. Now, before you said that you lived through the worst that Jim Crow had to offer, can you tell us a little more about that? Whew. Oh boy, where do I begin? Let me think. Growing up, I went face to face with white racism. And this is really what impacted my future works as an author. Let's see. Well, I remember one day, I had a job delivering packages in the suburbs, and my bicycle tire punctured. So I was walking along the hot, dusty road, sweating and leading my bike by the handlebars, when a car stopped and a white man offered me a ride. So I obediently said, "Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Of course, sir. Thank you, sir, sir." And I clutched hard at my bicycle with one hand, and so then I clung to the side of the car with the other, and the car started. And well, the car was full of young white men, and they were all drinking. And I watched the flask pass from mouth to mouth, and then one of them asked me, "You want a drink, boy?" And I responded, "Oh no." And the words, they were hardly out of my mouth before I felt something hard and cold smash me right between the eyes. It was an empty whiskey bottle. Wow. I saw stars, fell backwards from the speeding car into the dust of the road, and the white man piled out and stood right over me and screamed, "Nigga, ain't you learned no better sense than that yet? Ain't you learned to say sir to a white man yet?" And when they left me, they comforted me with, "Nigga, you sure better be damn glad it was us you talked to that way. You're a lucky bastard, because if you said that to somebody else, you might have been a dead nigger by now." That's awful. I'm sorry, it's getting a little hot. Do you mind? No. Not at all. Go ahead. In fact, I'm getting a little toasty myself. Wow. That's really horrible. I mean, how did these awful experiences affect you? Well, I grew up well aware of the dominance of the white force and their privileges. Right. And I knew where I was in society. And consequently, my writing, I gave a lot of attention to white racism and the violence it could cause. So what did influence you to become a writer? When I was young, there were always books in my house, and my mother had been a school teacher. She always encouraged me to, and she taught me how to read, and I became an incessant reader. But what really got me was, as a teenager, it was around 1927, I was maybe 19 years old, when I became acquainted with the works of an author, H.L. Mencken. And I was amazed with his forceful attacks on the South. I was jarred, I was shocked by the style, the clear, clean sweeping sentences, and I pictured the man as a raging demon, slashing with his pen, and it was then that I realized that words could be weapons against injustice. I understand that you moved to Chicago. Yup. What were you hoping to find there? I was part of the great migration from the South to the North made by so many African Americans during and after World War I. And basically, they were looking to leave their poor situation behind and to find work in the North. So you were hoping for better conditions? Yep. Did you find any? Nope.